because we're in this state of flux. Like, we're coming off of several, I mean, all of Heart of the Swarm being Mutalisk, Ling, Baneling. That was simply what you did. Right now, as we could see with Jaedong, you still do see Mutalisk, but they're used a little bit different. You're not going to see those like 35 Mutalisks we used to see in earlier Heart of the Swarm. Now it's like map control-esque 12 and less, and then you switch into either a Roach timing or Infestors, or even a double melee is sometimes used into Ultralisk. But you know what? Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Nathanias, tell us who's playing, please.
Yes, sir. Spawning in the top left position of the map that is Acheron Wastes as our red Zerg player from Team Evil Geniuses. He's down one game. It is Stephano. And his opponent, currently up 1-0 in this best of 3. Spawning in the bottom right position as the blue Zerg, also from Team Evil Geniuses, it is Jaedong. Or as Apollo likes to call him, the Dong.
The Dong. Yes. Jaedong has actually, in very short time, made a name for himself at these DreamHack tournaments. DreamHack Open Stockholm. He actually went up into the top 4 there with a great series against the eventual runner-up, Naniwa. Not before he did defeat Gumiho, though, as he did repeat last night. So, I mean, Jaedong getting it done abroad, which is really cool to see. His first ever appearance was actually at a Kingston-sponsored event at, I want to call it, I think it was CES Las Vegas. I was there. I actually commentated, so I should probably have a better memory for this. But kind of cool. Kingston, one of the sponsors here, also sponsoring other things as well. They're one of the staunch supporters of esports. But getting inside this game just a little bit more, so like Nathanias and I talked about, it is Acheron Wastes, and Nathanias talked about how the third base is notoriously easier to take. So last game we saw Belshir Vestige. I think if you're a real fan of 3-base Zerg, you cried a little bit because I saw something like 5 3-base attempts get killed on either side. They're like, no, not again. Kept dying. But on this map, it's certainly possible, but less likely that that'll be the case. It'll be more likely that both players are like, all right, you're probably going to hold your third. It's pretty easy to hold your third. I mean, I'm going to try. I'm going to poke and prod at your defenses. But this could go the distance. We could see a lot more Swarm Hosts. We could see a lot more late-game tech, or just Roach Hydra Bloodfest.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the reasons why it's easier on this map is you don't have that big double high ground ramp area by the third base between the natural. You go in front of your natural in this map, and you're already kind of covering the entrance to your third base, which makes the run-bys as well a little bit more difficult. We didn't really see too much of that, though, in the first game. It was more straight-up engagements. And it's, like you said, I feel this map is going to be a little bit more conducive to a longer game.
Sure. I have to agree with you. And so far on either side, in terms of production tab, we can see that they're doing very, very similar things. I think Stephano is, well, he's a little bit later to his speed, but honestly, that's a window of a good 10 seconds. So if something happens inside that 10 seconds, poor Stephano, that's just bad luck. But otherwise, very similar. 21 drones for Jaedong, 19 for Stephano. That'll, as you said, seesaw back and forth. And in terms of projection for the game, I think Nathanias and I have laid it out there. I mean, this map is really good for 3-base. So you're going to see a lot more defensive play, a lot more perhaps mid to late game tech. But I really actually enjoy the early game stages of ZvZ because I feel like it's setting the board for what's going to happen later. We can see these scouting lings from Jaedong coming in. They are destined to die, but varying degrees of die. They want to scout out what's happening. They want to see, is there no drones coming down? Is there 20 lings at the top of that ramp? Do you already have speed because you did something very strange? Of course, Jaedong sees a much more standard opening from Stephano, but there is that Baneling nest going down.
Yeah, and I think this is interesting to see. We do have Jaedong going for quite a few speedlings. He has, however, not gotten that Baneling nest. Stephano going for the Baneling nest as soon as he had 50 gas after speed. A little bit more of a, you could say, standard Korean style out of him. And I feel like this could be what Stephano needs to get an edge. They're starting up as well. I feel it's not going to be matching up quite on point with these Zerglings, but he could end up going for some kind of delayed Roach Bust as he has acquired a second gas in his natural.
Well, this is going to be like a 2-prong all-in, essentially. I mean, that's a lot of speedlings. You can actually see he's down 8 drones because of it, but he's got a lot of lings, but defensive banelings and Spinecrawler means that Stephano has the tools necessary to defend this. It's all about micro. He's going to move forward. Ling's trying to work on those banelings. No detonation just yet. One hanging on the edge of its life. Ling's swinging forward. They want to go for the ramp. They're trying to avoid the banelings, both waddling back and forth, looking for that big detonation, and so far, Stephano has repelled the initial stage of this all-in.
Yeah, fantastic. He just barely grabs that last Baneling, but you make a great point. He kept 2 of those Banelings alive. The Zergling count's actually becoming slowly and slowly more even, and you know, Jaedong, he actually cannot engage into this just yet, but the roaches are on the way now.
And a Baneling Nest. This is like a 3-prong all-in.
The first step, he goes in with the quick hook. And he's gonna try to get that haymaker, as you stated, to try to finish them off with the roaches. And this is a very powerful all-in, especially considering that we don't see anything like a roach horn. And Stephano's going for a lair.
Yeah, and that's, from our point of view, that's actually one of the worst things we could possibly see. He's also making an evolution chamber. Of course, neither of those things are going to help him. All of a sudden, the Baneling portion of this all-in makes a lot of sense. I mean, these roaches alone were going to be hard to handle, but with Baneling support, it's going to be tough. We see 3 spine crawlers immediately going down. Stephano canceling the evolution chamber. It's all about this. Stephano, the Frenchman, is facing elimination. He's down 0-1 in this best of 3. Should he lose here, he will be out of DreamHack, and a lot of people will be very sad about that.
Indeed, and you know, one of the things that's really important here, look at the spine crawler placement in Stephano's natural. There's 3 of them right next to each other. Those Banelings can blow up 3. If he if he gets right on top of the center one, he can potentially blow up all 4 super quickly. Not even done yet. The Banelings from Stephano are going to come in, but this is such a tense moment now as the roaches press into these spine crawlers. And great detonations, taking out the majority of them, most of their health, but they're still alive, barely now finishing them off. And this is where the roaches become so strong as these spine crawlers fall.
In a critical error, not only was those 3 spine crawlers hit by the Banelings, but also all of the Banelings of Stephano clumped up, and Jaedong is taking advantage of a rare Stephano mistake. Stephano with his own roaches coming out, Link circling around, so not all hope is lost. He is down 3 drones, so some of the damage in some sense has already been done. With a Ling follow-up behind this coming out from Jaedong, the roaches of Stephano have a chance to fight back and keep him in this game.
And I feel like you make a good point as far as, you know, Stephano hasn't been completely knocked out yet.
No.
He's lost the majority of his army, but the Zerglings are in the main base, in the natural with these roaches as well. And he just has more army right now, really digging into what he has because the defense is completely shut down. That's a large investment that he made, especially with the lair. He hasn't had a chance to get any lair tech out. And Stephano taking some pretty significant losses now, down 20 drones to 37. And behind this, Jaedong, he's getting an evolution chamber. He's getting a lair. He's getting drones. He's not looking to lose this game or
the multitask of Jaedong is simply too much. He's at both mineral lines, picking off drones with far and away less in terms of units. Stephano is having a tough time keeping that pesky rascal out of his economy. Right now, those Lings will be ran down. Even as I say that, somehow 3 squeeze out. I guess they could end up dying to that queen, and they do get held off. But like you said, the story here is 40 of those blue drones from Jaedong to the 17 of Stephano. That is a mortal blow. It's so hard to come back from a drone deficit, and when it's to this degree and you don't have some gigantic X factor like, I don't know, Mutilus versus a sporeless, you know, lairless Zerg, there's not going to be any return. So Stephano's just kind of gimping around back at base, bleeding out a little bit right now.
And Stephano's going to get the Glial Reconstitution. He's getting that roach speed. He's trying to drone up. But the problem here, Jeff, is by the time he gets his drones anywhere close to how many Jaedong has, Jaedong's will already have paid off so much, he can go for a massive roach follow-up. Potentially moving out with his own roach speed that is now starting. He's going to acquire this 3rd base. And I really like that Jaedong's deciding to secure this lead. He's going to make sure that he's going to have everything set in stone for the later phases of this game, even if Stephano does, like you said, somehow hold off his next attack.
You're exactly right. I mean, as the famous casters, Tastosis, have always said, win ahead, get more ahead, and that's exactly what Jaedong's doing. He's taking that 3rd faster. He's getting +1 attack faster. He's got Glial Reconstitution at about the same time, but he's going to have more of those roaches with better upgrades. So, I mean, Stephano, again, he's doing what he has to do. He's getting his own +1 attack because he is going to be on what appears to be Swarm Host / Roach, which is a great composition to get towards. And if he just can't get outpaced that way, he's prioritizing that. But, I mean, if you look at that natural, he's not mining the gas. If you look inside the main, he's just barely mining the gas. Like, he's inching his way forward towards a healthy saturation, but in doing so, the larva of Jaedong is being spent on more units. If you look at that unit tab, it is 9 red roaches versus 21. I did graduate from 2nd grade, so I can tell you that the 21 is greater than the 9. And yeah, I learned that in 2nd grade. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, that American education.
Yeah, it is not so good.
I think you just taught me something there. But you know, some people wondering, you know, Stephano's been basically going pure drones so far. And you know, this is, like you said in the last game, when you're in this somewhat behind situation, playing the game out normally is going to leave you at a disadvantage. You have to take a couple of risks, going for this heavy drone composition, and then moving into some playmaking units like the Swarm Host. The only way that you can really get good engagements when you're behind an economy is to just have ridiculously cost-effective units.
You're exactly right, and I think this might be the trigger moment right now. Jaedong sees that a 3rd base is being attempted, and I believe somewhere in the recesses of his brain there should be a, oh no you didn't line floating around in there somewhere. He's actually not lurching forward just yet. He is adding 10 more roaches, though, so I feel like we're moments away from seeing him initiate that engagement. There are swarm hosts coming out for Stephano, and yes, I would say swarm hosts are significantly better than just more roaches in this situation, but I don't know that they're so much better that they can make up the difference because, again, we're talking about, I'm going to check once more, 9 roaches versus now 37, and that number's growing higher and higher, and I feel like you could almost cut that in half and still have the same effect.
Yeah, and you know, a couple of things to keep in consideration, though, as far as this setup goes. The swarm host being able to push that lane, as you so aptly call it, in front of the third base. We saw an interesting ZvZ yesterday, actually, between, I believe it was Cytoplasm and Pig, where we had Cytoplasm with a nice lead, but with enough swarm hosts positioned properly, even despite Jaedong's upgrade advantage, if he can get enough of them out there and get a decent engagement, buy himself time to get more and more swarm hosts, there is potential for a comeback here, but a Nidus network is on the way. I love this play, Jeff.
You know what? Everything you were saying, I mean, as Jaedong was hesitating, I was becoming more and more on board with what you're saying, because, you know, 5 swarm hosts, no, that's not enough, but 8, 10, 12, okay. All of a sudden we're talking about a number of swarm hosts where if you max out on roaches, you might have made a mistake, but that Nidus network is beautiful play. You can actually see the Overseer swinging around to the top of the main. Yep, that's a spotter. Here comes a gigantic army, though. So if Stephano can hold this off, he's got a whole new problem, but that's a big, big if. Concave from Jaedong is excellent. The roaches of Stephano going down, and that lane of Locusts simply not enough. Drones have abandoned the third, and it looks like it just wasn't enough in enough time.
Yeah, interesting decision by Stephano to go for the Hive at this timing, especially considering he needs as many units as humanly possible. The third base gets picked off. The Nidus Swarm is about to explode in Stephano's main base. The Dong is going to be all over this main now with more units pouring out. He's pushing into the natural as well. He just has so many units here. I don't see much of a way of Stephano being able to stop this.
No, and the Nidus Network has connected the production lines. Jaedong is moving forward. 188 supply to 84. Stephano, you fought bravely, you fought